I suspect a neighbor of poisoning my property. My neighbor has had a history of trespassing in my yard, though our relationship, of course, began neighborly before I had to draw boundaries around him entering my yard uninvited, also coincident with him beginning to make inappropriate, sexually harassing comments. His home is a second home, whereas I live in mine year-round. We have entirely different preferences when it comes to lawns. I am trying to plant native and rewild as much as possible, whereas he early on told me he hates birds. He has actually not been down very much this year, but has been down the past week, left a few days ago. In any case, this past weekend, he started talking to me while I was in my backyard. I've reset the line, so to speak, given the aforementioned interactions, so I haven't spoken to him in a while beyond polite hellos, etc. I decided to be a bit more conversational and tell him I was looking for bee species in my yard and that I'm trying to maximize the pollinator diversity in my yard. Of course, stuff like this perplexes him, and he clearly didn't like that I like bees. Made a joke about it, and I went on with my day. There's a patch of native plants I've planted next to his fence line. First off, it was weed whacked about 2 mows ago, possibly by his son. This irritated me to no end, but being unsure specifically who did this, I put up a little wire garden fence. He has also done so elsewhere along the property line. I also put my small no-mow pollinator zone sign. It's a cute garden sign, not just a mean keep-out sign, not that it matters, in that patch, so it was clear. Last week, that patch was vibrant and doing great. Clethra annifolia and Rosa virginiana, native and common hardy, to where I live in NJ. They have thrived all season. On top of this story, I had a personal medical emergency last week, so I was not paying the utmost attention to every part of my yard. But I did seek solace in my yard as I healed, and those plants look fine. Today they are all dead brown to a crisp. The grass just to the side of my little garden is perfectly green. Another neighbor was walking his dog, and I made conversation about it. He does not know about my tension with that neighbor, or differences of opinion about our yards, etc. He volunteered without me suggesting anything that the patch looked like it was sprayed with herbicide, and it looks much like when he uses herbicide in his yard. He thought it looked suspicious, his words, and said he would keep his eye out for any activity. Something I thought was unrelated is that last week, while I was having said medical emergency, I noticed the next day or two that all of my tree saplings I transplanted that had once been thriving along the fence line, visible to problem neighbors' yards, suddenly started to wilt. He had asked me last year what I was doing planting those trees, made a comment about me bringing in birds, and again, I moved on with my life and kept our interactions to a minimum. The strange thing about the death on that side is it extends all the way to the Virginia creeper I had growing along the opposite fence line. Anyway, I strongly suspect my neighbor is poisoning my yard, but do not have any video proof. I will be figuring out a way to set up video surveillance. What are my options? Any advice?